Yo, what's going on, you guys? Your boy Devon Twirl, the living weirdo. And today, in this Help Me Devon tutorial, I'll be showing you how to get smooth vocal leads, especially for R&B type music or anything that kind of calls for that type of vocal. Let's get right into it. So this song I'm going to play you is a song called Breakup Tour. It's one of my own songs available on all streaming platforms. I'm going to play you the vocal with the music mixed and let you get an idea of what we have. So listen closely.
I left you a message, did you get it? I think that I'm coming to my senses now. You told me that one day I regret this. I can't even front, you was right. You told me that there'll be no second chances. You told me that I wanna move alone. How did you know?
Okay, you get the idea of the song. It's called Breakup Tour. If you listen to that lead, you can hear that the lead is smooth. The high end is nice, but it's not too jarring to the ear. And the overall vocal is just lush. It has a plush feeling to it. I'm going to show you how I did that. Okay, so to show you how I did that, what we're going to do is we are going to strip this down bare. And when I say strip this down bare, I mean that we're going to take this and I'm going to do it from start to finish. So let's take off all of these effects, all of these wonderful effects. Okay, I'm going to solo the vocal. Okay, so this is the raw vocal. Listen closely.
I left you a message, did you get it? I think that I'm coming to my senses now. You told me that one day I regret this.
Okay, so you can hear that. Big difference. Needs a lot of work. Okay, so this is the raw vocal. So first thing I did was, of course, I started with EQ. And on my EQ, I rolled off a lot of the low end at about, let's take a look, at about 125 hertz. I rolled off all of that low end. And then I did a small dip on the 2K range, which to some people may be a little strange. I did it in the 3K to 8K. I dipped a little bit out. I felt like it was a little bit too much presence in that range, so I took it down a little bit. And I bumped up, which I'm pretty sure you're seeing right here, I bumped up this 11,000 hertz range, 3 dB just to get the bright. So listen to the AB of this. I'll keep popping it back and forth so you hear it.
I left you a message, did you get it? I think that I'm coming to my senses now. You told me that one day I regret this.
Okay, so you can hear a difference in there. I feel like that's self-explanatory. It's much more brighter, a lot more clear, feels a little bit more controlled, and we haven't even added compression yet. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to add compression. Now, since I want this vocal to sound smooth, this is something that you could think about with compression. How do I get my vocal to sound smooth? Well, with the compressor, what I like to do is I like to take the release and I like to slow that release down. Now, what that means is that the compressor is taking more time to release the actual vocal. So that vocal is being held under the compressor a little bit longer than if you had it to be fast. Then we have for the attack, I have it at a medium to fast attack. I usually keep that around the same place, but I definitely do kind of give it a little bit more of a faster attack when I'm trying to make a smoother vocal because I want those transients to really be smooth. So listen closely. I'll A-B it, popping it back and forth. Look closely without.
I left you a message, did you get it? I think that I'm coming to my senses now. You told me that one day I regret this.
Okay, so I hear there's a lot more presence on the vocal first and foremost. The difference between the quietest sound and the highest sound are a little bit more together and cohesive, and now we have more of a cohesive sound when it comes to the vocal. Next thing we're gonna do, probably the biggest secret, is multi-band compressing, which I know a lot of people are very skeptical about or nervous to use and things of that nature, but here's the trick and here's how I use it to make a very smooth vocal. So we all know that the secret within, or if you didn't know, the secret within those smooth vocals is the high end. It's really about getting that high end to feel smooth and nice, right? So what I do is I have a multi-band compressor, and the first band that I have it doing it at, or compressing, is that high end, from that 7,000 hertz range and above. So listen closely to this. So you can hear that I have it compressing pretty hard, pretty fast, and with a pretty fast attack and a pretty fast release, so that I'm still getting those moments of brightness that feel like they're kind of poking at me and vibing, but at the same time, it's very controlled because I have a fast attack on the high-end part of the multiband compressor. Stay with me. So I'll play this before and after just to give you an idea of what this actual high-end part of the multiband compressor is doing. Listen closely. I'll bypass it back and forth. So without. Okay, so big difference. Even with this, I'm even boosting some of the high end now, because obviously when we compress it, we lose some of it. But now that it's kind of tucked and controlled, I can actually add more high end to it. So this is a little trick that you can use to get more high end out of your vocal and boosting it without actually damaging it and making it sound like it's too much. So this smooths it out completely, and this is really dope. I also have a little bit of multiband compression in that 2000 hertz to the 7000 hertz range, just to smooth it out a little bit more. I'll let you hear that, bypass it back and forth so you can hear it. So without.
I left you a message, did you get it? I think that I'm coming to my senses now. You told me that one day I regret this.
So this is really bringing out those elements a lot, but it's bringing out the elements with a control. You understand what I'm saying? Because I'm compressing those bands individually. So that trick is there. So now I'll bypass the entire thing and let you hear it back and forth. So without, and then I'll bypass it back and forth.
I left you a message, did you get it? I think that I'm coming to my senses now. You told me that one day I regret this.
Night and day, guys. Huge difference in that high end. The entire vocal just opens up massively. Amazing technique with this multiband compressor. Also, you'll notice that in that 122 to 1900 hertz range, I'm also doing a little bit of compression. Not much. I'm actually also turning it down a little bit in that area because that's where most of the mud of a vocal is. Then, of course, below that in the 122 hertz range, I'm taking a lot of it out because I don't want it there. I already EQ'd it out in the previous plugin as far as the EQ, but never hurts to try and take out some more. So that's what that's doing. All right, next thing we're going to do, since we've boosted so much of the high end, now we're going to take out some more of the high end. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to use a de-esser. Common. I'm pretty sure you guys know what this does. If you don't, all it is a multi-band compressor. You choose what frequency range you want to be compressed, and that's what it's going to compress. So I'm having it kiss it at about the 16,000 hertz range. Listen closely. I'll bypass it back and forth.
I left you a message, did you get it? I think that I'm coming to my senses now. You told me that one day I regret this. I can't even front, you was right.
Very slight, guys. This is something that just more like a mental thing. Like, I know I boosted a lot and I just want to control it just to make sure nothing pokes out at me too much. This is de-esser. You know how this goes. All right, next thing I used is an RVox, right? And basically what the RVox is, it's a compressor slash limiter that is literally designed just for vocals. I love this compressor. This is probably one of my favorite compressors because it brings out such a character and tone in this vocal. And it also brings back a little bit of that body that I've lost since I've taken out some of that body in previous plugins. Listen closely.
I left you a message, did you get it? I think that I'm coming to my senses now.
Now, I'm going to bypass this and pull it back and forth. Listen to this.
I left you a message, did you get it? I think that I'm coming to my senses now.
There's a huge difference, guys, with that vocal. You'll notice that I had the a VCA just to kind of control the level a little bit because I wanted you to be able to hear it and hear that huge difference that it did. Pay that no mind. But just understand that RVox brings back so much tone in that vocal. As you can see, I have it compressing pretty hard with this one, but the vocal itself is already so smooth from the previous compression that this really just brings out the character and the tonality of the vocal that I love. This compressor I highly recommend. Okay, last but not least, on our vocal chain, I like this de-esser so much. And this is a stock plugin on Pro Tools that is amazing. You can use de-essers, any de-esser you like, but I have this at around the 6 kilohertz range, and I have it de-essing to really give me that smooth high. So I'll bypass it back and forth and let you get an idea what's going on. So before
I left you a message, did you get it? I think that I'm coming to my senses now. You told me that one day I regret this. I can't even front, you was right.
completely smooths out that top end. I know you hear a little bit of room tone. This wasn't recorded in the best place, but we make do with what we have. But if you listen to this with the de-esser now, you'll hear it is so much smoother with that right there. Okay, now that we've smoothed this vocal out, let us now add the plush and the lushness and the quality and the brilliance to this vocal. So the first thing we're going to do over here is we're going to add a long verb, and I'll pop it back and forth to give you an idea. So listen closely.
I left you a message, did you get it? I think that I'm coming to my senses now. You told me that one day I regret this. I can't even front, you was right.
Huge difference. You can hear that. I mean, that's self-explanatory. I'll show you my reverb settings that I have. So on this one, I have a pre-delay of 62. I have a reverb time of 2.8. I went a little unorthodox with this one. I wanted a very heavy sounding reverb. If you don't know what the pre-delay button does, what it does is it's you telling the reverb, listen, I don't want you to throw that reverb on the vocal for 62 milliseconds. So wait 62 milliseconds before you throw the reverb on. And what that allows you to do is it allows the initial vocal to cut through before the reverb attacks it and swallows it. The other thing you need to know is you should definitely always put an EQ, if you don't have EQ in your reverb, on your reverb. And you want to roll off a lot of that low end. You also want to take off some of the highs in there so it doesn't muddy up the vocal. Thing to know. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to add some parallel compression, which I've showed you guys in previous tutorials. If we move on over to our parallel compressor, it's very slight. I don't have a lot on this one this time, but I will A/B it for you so you can hear the difference. So I'll pop it back and forth. Listen close.
I left you a message, did you get it? I think that I'm coming to my senses now. You told me that one day I regret this. I can't even front, you was right.
So very slight, but it makes a huge difference. There's this very, very nice tone that it kind of adds to it and actually helps me hear the vocal a little bit more, and it feels a little bit more level and consistent in my ear. Very slight. If you look at my settings on this, what I do is it's a setting on the LA76 that's basically called a nuke setting. Long story short, all it is, and I've looked this up, it's just it's an all button, and it's like a 50-to-1 ratio that you're putting. So it's basically like putting a limiter on the vocals and you're smashing the crap out of it. Listen to this closely.
I left you a message, did you get it? I think that I'm coming to my senses now.
So if you look on the meter, you can see that this thing is being smashed, but that's okay because this is going to be used in unison with the original vocal. So we're damaging, in a sense, one vocal and making it a brick of audio to mix in with the other, and that's parallel compression. Won't get too deep in there. There is a link in the description to give you a full in-depth tutorial on parallel compression. Last on the parallel compressor, I'm adding a limiter just to control those peaks a little bit and bring out even more of the grit and the nastiness of that vocal. And then that is being brought into the other vocal, and I'm boosting it just a little bit. Okay, next effect, the super trick. I'm adding something called high end, and what this is a technique. It's just like parallel compression, right? But the only difference is that we are only parallel compressing the high end. So if you look at my chain, I am literally rolling off every single piece of low end on this vocal. Let me show you what I'm sending the vocal. Listen closely.
I left you a message, did you get it? I think that I'm coming to my senses now.
So you can hear that vocal. It is rolled off. It is a mess, but it's just a bunch of high end that's extremely bright. So I'm going to go through exactly what is there. So first off, we're rolling off all the high, all the low end up until about 8 kilohertz. We're rolling all of that off, right? And we're boosting at the 10,000 kilohertz range. 10,000 hertz range, and we're boosting at about 8 dB, unimaginable amount. This is completely unorthodox. Keep going with me. Next, we're de-essing the vocal at about 4,200. We're de-essing it heavy. Next thing we're doing is we are compressing this vocal to snot. Long story short, all we're doing is the same thing we did in parallel compression. Only difference is in the beginning of it, we're rolling off a bunch of the low end, so it's just the high end that we're affecting. Last thing within it is I throw a little delay on it just to make it sound like it's dancing a little bit in our ears as far as that high end. So now we have this high end thing that's a brick, and there's a delay on it that's kind of moving and making that high end feel like it swirls. So I'll play you it with and without the high end, and you can get an idea of what's going on. So without, let's mute all the vocals right quick. So I'll pop it back and forth and let you hear it.
I left you a message, did you get it? I think that I'm coming to my senses now. You told me that one day I regret this. I can't even front, you was right. You told me that there'll be no second chances. You told me that I wanna be alone.
So this is very, very slight, by the way, I want to let you know, because I felt like I already had it so plush, but I just wanted a little bit more character. Let me exaggerate the effect so you can hear exactly what this thing is doing. Listen closely. I'm going to exaggerate the effect.
I left you a message, did you get it? I think that I'm coming to my senses now. You told me that one day I regret this.
So you can hear that, man. It's such a big difference that you can make with that one little trick. But I felt like I didn't want that much on it. But guess what? I could if I wanted to. And it wasn't jarring to your ear. It was just extremely smooth. Wicked trick I suggested to anyone. Last, but certainly not least, I add what we call a doubler plugin. And basically it's a send. I'm sending this doubler effect out to this over here. And I have this dope plugin that I have called, it's called Vocal Synth, okay? Long story short, you can use the common doubler instead of using this, but I just like this preset that I have called Added Texture, and this is what it's doing. I'll show you right now. Listen closely. I'll pop it on and off.
I left you a message, did you get it? I think that I'm coming to my senses now. You told me that one day I regret this. I can't even front, you was right. You told me that there'll be no second chances. You told me that I wanna be alone.
Okay, so to my ears, this is what I hear this effect doing. I hear it, and this is a doubler for instance, I hear it softening the mid-range, and the highs are getting softer, as well as I feel a little bit more of the stereo field opening up a little bit. This plugin, or using a doubler effect on your vocal, can make all the more difference. Now, last thing I'll show you about with that doubler effect, with it helping to soften that vocal, is I'm putting a stereo imager on that doubler as well, just to give it a little bit more space. Now, if you want to know which one I'm using Dr. MS. It's my favorite stereo imaging plugin. It's incredible. But you can use any stereo imaging plugin to kind of give you space. So remember, you have your doubler plugin, and then you have a stereo imager to give that doubler a little bit more space. So now when you add the doubler plugin to your lead vocal, you're getting these sides that sound very soft and very doubled in a sense, but not too much where it's taking over the vocal or anything. It's just adding another texture layer to that vocal that's a little bit more smoother, and it helps to bring that vocal to a smoother place. And that is it. So guys, that was my tutorial on how to get a smoother, more lush vocal. Please like, comment, subscribe. Also comment below. Email me at helpmedevon@gmail.com. I am now offering mix and mastering services. You can email me there, serious inquiries only. Make sure you follow us at helpmedevon on the Instagram, and let me know what you guys think. I love to talk to you guys in the comments. And until next time, you guys.